Now I've got a video request. I've actually had two. So the video requests are, why are Brazilians and Argentinians so good at football? So I'm going to give my perspective on it. Now, I've actually made a video like this before, but since it's another video request, I will add on to the video that I made previously. If you haven't seen the previous video, link is in the description. Hit that link, you can watch it now. But if we're looking at why Brazilians and Argentinians, I'm just going to say South American players, why they are so good at football compared to counterparts in Europe or Africa or Asia or wherever. There's a big factor that I saw online and I'm going to speak about. It's called South American grinta. Now, it just means that they've got this work ethic. A perfect example is Luis Diaz. When you see Luis Diaz, he'll run, he'll chase every ball, he'll run after everything. He will fight and fight and fight to keep hold of that ball and to create for his team. Now, a lot of South American players have this in them. Alexis Sanchez was one, he had it. They've all got this fight. Edison Cavani, they've all got this fight within them, partly because of their backgrounds. When you're looking at Alexis Sanchez, he grew up, I think he worked in a coal mine, something like that. Now, when you have that in your life and you're so poor growing up, like Dani Alves slept on a stone bed, for example, when you have that in your life, you have endless motivation. If you grow up comfortable, you have to actually motivate yourself in different ways. And I've experienced this because I wasn't poor as in living in poverty. I wasn't rich either, but I was comfortable. I was middle class. So my family was able to take care of me in a middle class household, essentially, because I had everything that I needed. Now, those South American players didn't, which is why they've got endless motivation to always want to do more. They will never give up because they know they can't give up. Because if they give up, what happens? Oh, back to poverty. Do you think they want that? No. So they have this endless motivation that I will succeed no matter what. So even if you see them do bad at a team, they'll move to another team and they got that grit and that determination to want to win, which is why they are a lot better than players from Europe. It's very rare, if you think about it, you see South American players suffering from mental health issues. Like, I can't really recall a lot of them suffering from depression because they don't have the luxury to. In their minds, in their psychological makeup, they always think, I gotta get it. I gotta get it every single day. It's either I do this or I'm going back to the mind, or I'm going back to being poor. Which is why Richarlison was the first Brazilian I've seen in, I think, ever suffering from mental health issues. Because even with someone like Neymar, you can say, yeah, he suffers from mental health issues, but he bounces back because he has to. It's all about, I have to survive, which is why they have that extra grit, that extra determination. You see them riding the challenges. They get injured, they want to come back onto the pitch. No matter if they get kicked left, right, and center, they back on, they're willing to fight. Because why? It's the environment they grew up in. So, also, a lot of the times, another factor of why they're so good, when you're growing up in poverty and you know that I'm good at football, you are going to do that all the time because it's your only way out. It's something my father would often say to me, is that he'd often say that players are more motivated than me because football is the only thing they had. So if you compared me to like a poorer kid, like a kid in South Africa, we call it the kasi, which is like in Brazil, you'd call it the slums, but there's a specific name in Brazil for it. I'm just trying to think of it, but it's not coming to my head. But basically the slums, poverty, those players know football is their only way out. So they know that I will do everything to get to it. I'll train every day. There's never a time where they're like, oh, I don't feel like it. I don't want to train today. Because they know if they don't train that day, that's one day lost and another day they're stuck in poverty. So they have to get out. So they have to work. So they will work, and then they keep that mentality even when they've got all of the money, all of the success, signed for all of the biggest clubs. They still have that grit and determination. So that's essentially the key factor of why. Beyond that, yes, I mean, they've got talent, but the talent comes from when they're kids, they just play endless football. So whether it's by themselves, barefoot, shoes on, in the courts, on the football pitches, they just play as much football as possible from a young age. So they'll play football 6-7 hours a day, 4 hours a day, every single day, Monday to Sunday. Now, if you're doing all of that, just think about it. If you're playing 4 hours of football every single day, 4 times 7, that's 28 hours in a week. 28 times 4 will give you 28, 56, 56 times 2, 112. It's about 112 hours in a month of just endless football. Now look at it, take 112 and divide it by 24 for a day. You probably get like maybe about 5 days. So for 5 full days in a month, they just play football according to the hours. Now compare that to a kid growing up in the suburbs. Maybe an hour at training every Tuesday and Thursday, or Monday and Wednesday, a match on Sunday where they just, it's about an hour, you can say. That's 3 hours a week. Now compare that they are training 3 hours a week compared to a Brazilian or South American training 4 hours in one day. And that's where the Brazilians get their technique from. It's just constant practice, trial and error, trying new things, improving, training every single day, because they know they have to do it. They have to find new ways to improve. Now, one player that for me, a European player that had it, was someone like Ronaldo. Well, he also grew up in poverty. So that's where it comes from. Because you're always going to want to improve, and you never have this thing of being satisfied, because you know that if I stop, I'll lose it. So there's always that fear. Now people say fear is a bad thing, when in reality, fear is natural. It's supposed to be there, because what it does is fear motivates. So for me, when I was growing up and I was trying to be a professional player, I was an aspiring pro for about 5 years. And in that time, I always, in the back of my mind, had this fear. If I don't train today, fuck, that's another day lost. If I don't eat this right food, or if I eat that donut or eat that ice cream, it sets me back a day. So I'm like, but it's pushing me away from my goal. So there was always this fear in my mind, like, if I don't do X, then I'm a day away from becoming a professional. I'm one day further away. So it's always like, no, I've got to get closer. Every single day, I've got to do something. And that improved me, because it always kept me working. And it's a natural thing, because if you're looking at us, I don't want to go on a tangent, but if you're looking at us back in the day when we were hunter-gatherers, there was constant fear. You could just walk one day and get hit by some random saber-tooth tiger who eats you. So there was always this constant fear, this constant anxiety of, shit, I gotta always know what's around me. I gotta be on guard. I gotta be ready. Every single day I gotta do something else, I die. So over time, of course, life has changed, but there has to be that fear, because that fear gives you that fire, that motivation. Because that's why most of the time, if you grow up comfortable, you'll actually struggle for motivation, because you've never had to actually struggle. They struggle was their life. So now what do you think that's going to do? Constant motivation to improve. So if you're looking at it in a nutshell, why are Brazilian players or South American players better than a lot of other players? Purely, it's poverty. Now poverty is a shit thing, but the one good thing it does do is it motivates the fuck out of you. And it's motivated them right to the top of the football ladder. So that's it in a nutshell. That's what builds that grit and determination, is they grow up poor. So football is their only way out. They have to make it. And when you have that mentality, it's no surprise that you're at the top of world football.